Morning, Crossbridge. My name is Jeff. I'm one of the pastors here at Crossbridge. I'm up here with another vision update, but this time it's a little bit different. We don't have an updated vision handout for you this semester, and there's a reason for that, and I'll get to that at near the end of the update. Over the past year, our wider church, CBCGB that is, many of you know has experienced a number of challenges and a number of needs, like the lack of youth pastors and the lack of an admin to support our Crossbridge youth and children's ministries, among other things. It was a big enough externality that when this was first announced almost about a year ago, I remember talking to Pastor Pat and was like, maybe we need to scrap the entire Crossbridge vision or redo it or pivot, because I could just foresee many of us are going to get pulled into additional roles and responsibilities to fill the gaps. And it's going to be difficult to prioritize the things on this handout due to just limited time and resources. In fact, when we were working with Oksana, which is the group that has been kind of coaching us through visioning and vision clarity and things like that, they had shared that when the pandemic hit, many churches that were kind of doing this vision thing, they basically had to take their vision handout and redo the bottom half, if not the bottom 2/3, because basically some of those original plans couldn't work anymore. And that was completely fine, right? The idea is that a handout like this is a tool that works for us and not the other way around. Now, ultimately, at the time, I made the call not to make such an extreme decision for basically three reasons. First, I believe that these three background strategies of the next 2 to 3 years of multi-congregational partnerships, group-driven growth, and Sabbath culture were still vital to the health, growth, and sustainability of Crossbridge. Second, it was still early, and I didn't really want to be overly reactive without kind of first seeing firsthand what the situation would be like. And third, even if we redid our vision, we'd probably still run into the same challenges unless we made our vision basically equivalent to addressing the larger CBCGB's needs, or we kind of figure out a way to effectively prioritize no matter the externalities. What we've seen in the past year is that there have been many needs, particularly in youth ministry and other ministries as well. And I'm super incredibly grateful and even proud, if I can say that, of just many of our Crossbridge members and youth leaders and youth members who just basically stepped up to serve in this particular ministry, right? And to some extent, when you think about it, that is our vision, right? To raise up bridge builders, and that includes bridging generations. In fact, that's probably a large part of it. And I'm thankful to a lot of you guys, Crossbridge people who have reached out and opened up your homes and spent time with our youth alum or our young adults, especially when Pastor Pat and I haven't been able to do as much as we like. But what we've also seen is that there's many of us who are pulling not just double duty, but triple or quadruple duty across the whole church, right? There's many gaps, and Crossbridge has stepped up to fill those gaps. This might just be the season that we're in as a congregation and as a church, a season that really leverages our servant-hearted core value, while also challenging us to serve with joy, right? Which is our fourth mark. A season that invites us to trust in God more than ourselves, to abide in Him, as we just sang. And so what does this mean practically for this vision update that I'm giving right now? When we began the ministry year in September, our focus for this year was a threefold focus, right? Forming pathways for next generation, fostering growth in groups, and finding joy together in God's presence. And we are still committed to making progress towards each of these things. At the same time, I realized that creating an updated vision handout with a new set of initiatives each semester was too constraining for some of our volunteers in this current season. It was it was a way for us to be accountable to you and to ourselves, to God, to making progress, and to even communicate that progress in a hopefully simple way and memorable way. But I think given everything else, just everything going on right now, we probably can't output on a semester cadence, not like before. And so this is the reason why we don't have a handout this morning. I know some of you, it's totally fine, right? You just take it and then recycle it on the way out, which is, it's totally fine. We're just giving ourselves, the point is we're just giving ourselves a little bit more time, right? So that we can continue with our vision without burdening our people unnecessarily. And so our Crossbridge core, our fellowship core leadership teams, they've subdivided to tackle some of these parts of the focus together. I know Pastor Pat has been working diligently on still developing these spiritual growth plans and this like major, massive toolkit for our small groups to use to help us to grow and flourish together. And when you think about it, as we take a little bit of time to reflect, there's been some progress on our background strategies as well, even if we didn't necessarily explicitly capture it in a nice graphic in one of these updates or whatever. Right? We have a Crossbridge elder, Elder Stan, our first in 5 years. We have some new Crossbridge deacons who I think are joining and aiming not just to keep the lights on, but really to help address some of these underlying root issues. And I think there's been a lot of good partnerships that have been forming and have been formed across our whole church. So I think there's a lot of things to still delight in and take joy and to praise God for. But I'll close with this. As we kind of head into this new calendar year, we could use your prayer. Right? Not just a generic prayer for Crossbridge or CBCGB, but here's one step that I would invite you to take, which is to just pray for your leaders by name. We've intentionally put them on our website, crossbridge.life, with their photo and their role. And so I invite you to just start there and pray for them. And as always, you can feel free to reach out to myself or Pastor Pat if you have questions or comments or suggestions. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.